Hello users, and welcome back to Above It All, the series in where I talk about things that I find valuable pieces of information. So Shahid Buttar, 1000% probably my most anticipated race of November or whenever the general election may be. And the reasoning why is captured within this response to a question that he gives. He has a little interview here on Nomiki Konst's show, which I watch from time to time. I think she's okay. And, again, I love this guy, but he throws together a really good reason why people should follow him and support him if they were in any capacity interested in Bernie's campaign, especially, but even in the other, left adjacent campaigns, which, you got to build the coalition, right? But again, this is a very interesting video, and I just want to play it because I think this guy needs to be signal boosted. Go follow him, donate to his campaign, support or volunteer if you can, and if you have the ability to do so. And this is just a great message of hope. And again, this is for all those people who feel like there's a void because of Bernie's suspension, they should, without a doubt, be signal boosting and supporting Shahid Buttar, because this is basically the past torch, if you will, of this election cycle, I feel. And as he will mention in this little clip that I'm going to play of this video, he basically lays out the basic agenda of solidarity and how that can drive us to be sending a very powerful message to the establishment and a definite win in an electoral context. So again, before I go into this and hit play, of course, you should also be focusing on things outside of electoralism, like focusing in your local community. Call your neighbors, call your friends, see if everybody is okay, ask if they need help, If you're going to the grocery store, offer to pick up stuff for other people so that they don't need to expose themselves and risk themselves in this pandemic. Do what you can to help the people in your life, because if everybody did what, I'm describing, we'd live in a hell of a lot better society. So let me play this clip here. Shahid Buttar says he is confident that he can beat Nancy Pelosi, and he lays out the basic path of accomplishing that goal. And let's see.
All of those movements are blowing wind in our sails. And I think between those movements, our online presence, our traditional media presence, the phone banking, and just the discourse that will increasingly grow as the race proceeds, I'm very confident in taking the seat. Maybe one point I'd raise here, for our movement nationally, and I'm going to describe this as the movement to challenge for the White House seats from the left. And that included, not just Bernie's campaign, but there were other candidates in the presidential election who certainly styled themselves as from the left. Marianne Williamson, Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang. There were other voices too. And the supporters of all those different campaigns and candidates, I think, recognize that in the presidential election, there is not likely to be an avenue for the vindication of our vision. Mm-hmm. And whatever we might say about stopping Trump is one thing, but I think a lot of people want to see our vision proceed. And they might not have an opportunity.
This is the part I want to focus on. There are so many people that just, Joe Biden's bad. Joe Biden's bad. Bernie would win. Joe Biden's bad. And that's all they do all day. And I get it. It's awful. But again, energy in this context is a zero-sum game. At the end of the day, what did you do all day? Were you advocating for a message in a way that actually could potentially substantively help people, or were you just blogging in your diary? Now, again, I have no necessary problem with people using social media to blog in their diary. That's fine, but I just think there should be a lot more time spent helping other down-ballot progressive candidates, especially if you're not someone who's privy to doing anything outside of electoralism involving direct action and so forth. If your bread and butter is this kind of shit, I implore you to look elsewhere for helping others. But, again, if your bread and butter is electoralism, and say you did a bunch of phone banking for Bernie and you understand how that works, I didn't do a bunch, but I did a fair amount of rounds. And if you have that kind of experience, working with Shahid Buttar's campaign is something you should look into. I know I will probably look into that more so as we get closer to November. And that's the thing about this campaign that he has, is that it's going to last until November regardless, unless, I guess, if he dies from the coronavirus or something like absurdly drastic, which is unlikely to occur. But I mean, I don't know, who knows? Anything is possible these days. But I mean, like, the point is, he's not going to suspend. He's past the primary, and he is going to challenge Nancy Pelosi. And this is the part, again, that I find super important. A lot of people are losing faith, and if you're losing faith in electoral politics and you want to shift over to direct action, great. Don't let me get in the way of that. But if you're someone who's losing faith in electoral politics and you don't really involve yourself in any other fashion, you should at least hear what he has to say and see if it can rekindle the flame that you maybe have had for the Bernie campaign or something. It's just, this is a very monumentally important challenger, just because Nancy Pelosi, just on every level, has utterly failed on every level. Every single level, waiting so long to impeach the president, doing nothing about the coronavirus, trying to bail out big businesses and corporations. She is failing to help the American people on every single level. She cannot use the bully pulpit that comes with the Speaker of the House. She is a ghoul, and she has to go. And voting her out of being Speaker is one thing, but like, the Speaker of the House being removed from their seat after, 2 years as Speaker, that does send an extraordinary message. One that, outside of capturing the presidency, is probably the most powerful possible message being able to be sent via electoral means in this current climate. And that's why, again, I want to explain the profound importance of his campaign. And I do think it's super important, so I'm going to continue this.
We might say about stopping Trump is one thing, but I think a lot of people want to see our vision proceed. And they might not have an opportunity in their respective districts, and we don't have that opportunity in the presidential race. But as the cycle proceeds, because I was one of the winners of the jungle primary in March, I have my foot in the door until November. Right. And as the cycle proceeds, more and more people, I think, around the country are going to recognize that we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity here in San Francisco to score a massive victory, not for me, and I wouldn't even say for us as a movement. I would say for us with a capital U as a species. We are confronting not just a pandemic, but a climate catastrophe, a preventable climate catastrophe, into which the generation of policymakers that precedes us have ducked for decades. And we don't have to take it anymore. And here's the key: we can't take it anymore. The future can't endure it. And if we have any commitment to the future, we have, again, a real chance to demonstrate it here in San Francisco. And
so one thing before I let him finish this point is, again, just because Bernie dropped out of the race doesn't mean that the climate problem is any less of an issue. It doesn't mean that the insurance companies in this country having death panels that kill 40,000 people a year before the pandemic, it doesn't mean that that's going to go away. Just because Bernie dropped out of the race doesn't mean that the economy is somehow going to magically not be fucking, on a fucking verge of collapse, So, if you actually do believe in this stuff, and again, you're not going to get involved in direct action, there's so many reasons why that's, you're unable to do that. And, in a lot of instances, I live in a really shitty town. There's not much I can do in my community at this moment. So again, there is that kind of vacuum. And if there is a similar vacuum for you, but you had any sort of experience with electoralism before, even if it's just so much as donating to Bernie's campaign, consider it. Give Shahid fucking $5, $10, whatever you can. As well, by the way, just real quick, patreon.com/cyberdemon531. It's linked in the description of every video. Check that out as well. But that is not important right now. Let me finish the video. Well, not finish the video, but finish this part that I'm highlighting.
With the support of the 20,000 donors who are already fueling our campaign, the 6,000 volunteers, our growing staff and supporters here across San Francisco and across the country, I'm very confident that together we can do the job of beating Goliath in November.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, he says he's confident, and of course, in his position, if he says anything other than positivity, it doesn't send a good message, obviously. If you are challenging one of the most powerful politicians, you want to basically act as if you know you have you want to say you have a path to victory, lay out that path, and then have that message be clear so that people, if they validate that and say, like, okay, I agree that this is very feasible, let me assist you, and then it only becomes more and more feasible. So I'm doing my part here. I want to signal boost him. I will cover anything. I like watching his interviews and stuff, so if he ever says anything else that I find to be, of profound importance of any kind, I'll make another video. As far as electoralism is concerned, I mean, this is the best avenue. If you are in any capacity involved with the Bernie Sanders campaign, you should at least consider donating at least $1 to this guy's campaign. Do something you can. Sign up for his email list, because he is using his email list, in a very nice way. And it's like one of those things where, again, just having that email list sign up, that gives them an extra number on their email list, and it gives them a nice little feeling. It's like, okay, we have more people. Even if you don't read the emails, even if they go to spam, it just raises their numbers, it raises their resolve, it builds solidarity, and it's the least you can do. I would highly recommend you get involved with Shahid's campaign, because again, like he said, he has his foot in the door until November, and we should use that. Having someone being able to say, I'm literally trying to unseat you, you need to do a better job, especially when the Speaker of the House is fumbling so terribly. Like, again, this is a winnable race. Now, again, it's hard. It's going to be a disaster of difficulty, and it probably, in all likelihood, won't come to fruition. But that's, what I said to myself when Bernie Sanders launched his 2020 campaign. And I said to myself, if I do nothing, I will regret it for the rest of my life. And even though Bernie failed, I do not regret ever trying to help him win. And I will do the same thing for anybody else that purports to carry that vision and does so in reality that I can perceive. I don't see any issues with him. I don't know if he's got a checkered past of whatever, and even then I don't care. I only really care about what someone's doing now. If someone is doing something genuinely positive now, it doesn't matter what their past was. All that matters is that they stay on that path and that we all help everybody, because what is the point in telling people that they're wrong about something if you don't want them to be right about something? So again, there would have to be some sort of monumental bombshell for me to not like Shahid Buttar anymore. And I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I'm saying that, again, if you supported Bernie, the least you can do is support him. And if you have anybody else on your radar as far as down ballot challengers, let me know. I would also be open to interviewing people. I don't know if my channel's big enough to warrant that, but hey, it's an open invitation. If anybody has any ideas, and if you can set something up, hit me up. I'm all for it. But yeah, this is great stuff. And again, one of my things that I love about him so much is that he is a very concise speaker, and that's something that you don't see often, and I just really appreciate it. And again, do what you can, and thank you for watching. Consider all the things I mentioned. I'm just doing the outro, and I don't know how to summarize this video, so I'm just going to turn the video off and hope that your brain understood the content that you just absorbed, because my brain does not understand the concept. The concept. I'm not even speaking English anymore, so it's time to turn this video off. Thank you for watching.